Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Three Siblings Walk into a Bar. My name is Sage, the middle sibling.
I'm Storm, the youngest sibling.
And I'm Deshay, the oldest sibling.
I feel like we need like a theme song. Like the three siblings that walk into a bar. It's just our name over and over and over again. But it's like
three siblings in a bar.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. It's fine.
We have to know somebody that does this.
Now after that great fun jingle, here is the horrible, horrific story.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. So
we'll get you happy in real life.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to put a little bit of a trigger warning on here. I know a lot of our stories are really messed up. But this one in particular, I didn't realize how messed up it was until I really started to research it. So there's a lot of different things that happen in here. This is just a very tough episode in general. So, yeah.
Buckle up.
Before, yeah. But everyone buckle up because we're going to definitely have to watch some Mickey Mouse Clubhouse after this.
Yes.
Gotta watch my movies. We were literally just talking.
I know.
But if you do watch the new Exorcist movie, it was really good.
Really, okay, I haven't seen it. I
haven't either. I was worried about it.
And I'm not I liked the original Exorcist movie, but I know it has a cult following. Mm-hmm. And Richard is one of those loved the original Exorcist movie. Mm-hmm. And he even was they did a really good job. It was really good. So
okay.
I don't know what that means to anybody, but it is a really good movie.
And then we watched
this one movie.
Right.
We watched this one movie. I think it was called My Friend or Be My Friend or dang it, something like that. And it was it's this kid and he's autistic and he uses a phone to talk with. And a couple kids were picking on him and took his phone and threw it. And so his dad got him this old iPad to use. And this book just popped up on it. And it had this creepy monster on it. And when you're reading the book, you can't make it go away. But when you're reading the book, the monster comes to life. And anyway, and it's the craziest thing, and it's kind of cheesy, it's not scary or anything, right. But it was actually pretty good. I watched it, and I'm a big baby with scary movies.
It's like the Disney scary movies,
kind of. I mean, it's a little bit scarier than Don't Look Under the Bed.
Yeah,
but
that used to terrify us.
Yes, not I wouldn't let Deegan watch it, but that's pretty good. Cute little movie.
Jeez.
Made me cry. Made me get scared.
It's
all the emotions. Made me giggle.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was what is this? I didn't know what to do.
Those are the best kind of movies.
It's kind of like our podcast.
Exactly. I was at the shop and I put on a movie, and our artist from Cuba, he was like, "Are you watching a horror movie?" And he was like, "I don't even know why I ask you anymore." And I was like, it's either a horror movie, a true crime documentary, or something real weird. So that's what I got. He was like, "You don't watch comedy or anything?" And I was like, I mean, if you want to put on comedy, you can. It's just not something I gravitate towards. But then I was just talking about watching Floribama Shore. I can't stop watching it.
Yeah, there was another one kind of like that from a bunch of kids. I forgot what it was called, but a bunch of kids from, I think they were from Louisiana, and it was living in the,
I feel like there's been a whole bunch of them, but the MTV ones are just the
the real world ones.
Yeah, real world.
That's what
Jersey
I remember.
Shore, stuff like that. Yeah,
I loved Real World. And then they turned it into the challenge and the
I'm not a fan of that.
What is this?
Yes.
I don't want to watch people fight each other. I want to watch. Yeah.
That's where Theo Vaughn is from. He cracks my shit up all the time. I can't stop listening to him. Just the ridiculous shit that he says. I do that to our apprentice all the time. I'm like, "Anthony, can you pull up a picture of Every time.
He's like, no, I don't want
Yeah.
to do that.
No.
Yeah. Jeez.
I always do that where I'll be like, oh, let me Google it. And then I'll like halfway Google it. And then I'll start talking about something else. And then Rachel will be like, what did it say? I'm like, what did what say? What are you talking about? And he's like, what you were Googling. And I was like, oh, I don't, hold on.
Yeah.
I do it all the time. So bad.
Welcome to our ADHD.
Yeah.
Love it.
Stop yawning. You're going to
All right. You guys ready to get this started?
No.
No.
I don't think I'm ready to get this started. So, like, I always say this, but telling these stories is a lot more difficult than writing them down or hearing them from other people. And this one in particular, when I was writing the script, I was mad. I was like getting pissed. So we'll see how this comes out. Also, I have a little tickle in my throat, so don't judge me.
I will.
Judging you.
I know. I can feel it.
Very hard.
Through the screen. Yeah. All right. So, who told the story last week? Was it Deshay?
Me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned something about like a kidnapping. And then I was talking about the girl who wrote a book after she was kidnapped and got out. So I looked into this story, and that's all that I really knew about the story. But yeah, so we're about to just jump into it, I guess. All right. So Ariel Castro is this guy's name. Does that name sound familiar to you guys?
Yeah, it does.
No.
This sounds familiar.
I don't know names.
Yeah, I feel you. Okay, so he was born on July 10th of 1960 in Dewey, Yauco, Puerto Rico. And he was the son of Pedro Castro and Lillian Rodriguez. His parents divorced when he was a kid, and he moved to the United States with his mother and his 3 biological siblings. They first lived in Exton, Pennsylvania, but then they ended up settling in Cleveland, Ohio, where Castro's dad lived and several of their family members lived. So they just had family in the area. Castro had 9 siblings altogether. So it was a big family. There was a lot of them altogether. He graduated from Cleveland's Lincoln West High School in 1979. Castro met his girlfriend, Gromilda Figueroa, when his family moved to their house across the street from hers in the 80s. So they were neighbors, basically. Castro and Figueroa lived with both sets of their parents until they moved into their own home at 2207 Seymour Avenue in Cleveland's Tremont neighborhood in 1990. Their home was a 2-story, 1,400 square foot, 4-bedroom, 1-bathroom house with 760 square foot unfinished basement that was built in 1890 and then remodeled in 1956. According to Figueroa's sister, she said that all hell started breaking loose once the couple moved into their new home. So the sister claimed that Castro had beat Figueroa by breaking her nose, ribs, and arms and causing a blood clot in her brain that resulted in an inoperable tumor.
Oh no!
So this is his wife. It's also claimed that he threw her down the stairs and she had a fractured skull.
Oh my gosh.
In 1993, Castro was arrested for domestic violence, but he was not indicted by a grand jury. So he was arrested, but he never was charged for anything.
What?
Exactly.
Why does that not surprise me, though?
Exactly. In 1996, Figueroa moved out of the house and secured custody of their 4 children. So they had 4 kids altogether. The police assisted.
Custody of them?
No, she got custody of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Woo! I was like,
Figueroa,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, Figueroa is his wife. So she moved out of the house and she got custody of the kids. The police assisted in the move and detained Castro. But they did not press charges. So apparently it was so bad that she had to call the cops to be able to leave.
Well,
So even after she moves out, Castro continues to threaten and attack Figueroa. She filed charges in 2005 in the domestic relations court, which accused Castro of inflicting multiple severe injuries on her and frequently abducting their daughters.
oh no.
So she has full custody of these kids, and he just kind of picks them up and grabs them whenever he feels like he wants to. So the court granted a temporary restraining order against Castro, but it was dismissed a few months later. Figueroa died in 2012 due to complications from her brain tumor. So
at that point, I'm like, is it murder?
Exactly.
Yeah, right?
Like, what's
yes.
So he was never put on charges for the abuse in the first place.
Right.
So I'm assuming that has something to do with it.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
So before his arrest, when he was age 52, Castro worked as a bus driver for the Cleveland Metropolitan School District until he was fired in November of 2012 for bad judgment. These bad judgments included making an illegal U-turn with infants and toddlers on his bus.
No.
Using the bus to go grocery shopping.
Okay.
Leaving a child on the bus as he went to go eat lunch at KFC. And leaving the bus unattended while he went home and napped.
I feel like even just one of those things would have been grounds for being fired, and you're telling me it took all of those?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So at this point, before he was fired, he was earning $18.91 an hour before he was discharged. And he was discharged at the time of his arrest. So they say he was let go for judgment calls, but he was being arrested, basically. So they were going to fire him anyways. Castro's home was foreclosed on 3 years after 3 years of unpaid real estate tax. So he just didn't have his shit together, basically. Okay. So there are 3 girls that I'm about to talk about. So the first one is Michelle Knight. Michelle was born on April 23rd of 1981. She disappeared on August 23rd of 2002 after leaving her cousin's house. She was 21 years old at the time, and on the day of her disappearance, she was scheduled to go to court for a child custody case involving her son. Her son was in the custody of the state at the time, so she was going to court to try and get him back. And she missed that date. This was a little hard for me. Following Knight's rescue, police acknowledged that limited resources had been spent investigating her disappearance, in part because she was an adult. Authorities believe that she had run away voluntarily due to anger over losing custody of her son. According to the Cleveland Deputy Police Chief Ed Tomba, she was the focus of very few tips. So they weren't even really looking for her at this point. Some criticized her removal from the National Crime Information Center database 15 months after she disappeared, which made her largely unknown prior to when she was rescued. So instead of keeping her in the database, they basically took her out of it. So if someone was looking for her, they wouldn't find her anyways. The Cleveland Division of Police and the FBI maintain that her inclusion or exclusion has no bearing on whether she was rescued or not.
Of course they say that.
Yeah. So the next girl that we're going to talk about is Amanda Marie Berry. She was born on April 22nd of 1986. She disappeared on April 21st of 2003, which was one day before her 17th birthday.
Hmm.
She was last heard from around 8 p.m. when she called her sister to tell her that she was getting a ride to work, which was at a local Burger King. It was right down the street. The FBI initially considered her a runaway until weeks after her disappearance, there was an unidentified man that used her cell phone to call her mother. When he called her, he said, "I have Amanda. She's fine and will be coming home in just a couple days."
What?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So Berry was featured in a 2004 segment of Fox's America's Most Wanted, which linked her to Gina DeJesus, who at this point had also gone missing in Cleveland. Berry and DeJesus were profiled on the Oprah Winfrey Show, the Montel Williams Show, where a self-proclaimed psychic, Sylvia Brown, told Berry's mother that in November of 2004 that her daughter was dead and she was in water.
Wow.
So she's being told this on national television.
Mm-hmm.
I can only fucking imagine, dude.
Mm-mm.
So this devastated her mother, obviously. It caused her to take down all the pictures of her daughter and give away her computer. However, she did continue the search for her daughter up until she passed away from heart failure in March of 2006.
Mm.
Later that year, on December 25th of 2006, Berry gave birth to a daughter. The DNA evidence confirmed that Castro was the father of this child.
Oh my God.
So this is a huge story right now. Everybody knows about it. Everybody's talking about it. And it's everywhere. So there is a prison inmate named Robert Wolford. He lived in Tremont, and he claimed that in July of 2012 that he had information about where Berry's body was. He led police to an empty lot in Cleveland's west side where they conducted a search and found nothing. And he was sentenced in January of 2013 to 4.5 years of prison for obstruction of justice, making a false report, and making a false alarm. 4.5 years.
Wow.
That's wild. Okay, so Gina DeJesus is the next girl. We talked about her. She was friends with Berry.
Mm-hmm.
So she was born on February 13th of 1990 and went missing on April 2nd of 2004, and she was only 14 years old.
Oh
God. She was last seen at a payphone around 3 p.m. while on her way home from school. She was in middle school at the time. At the time, she was friends with Castro's daughter, Arlene. And shortly before Gina's disappearance, she and Arlene had called Arlene's mother and asked for permission to stay at DeJesus's house. And she was like, "No, we can't tonight." So the girls just parted ways. Arlene was the last person to see DeJesus before her disappearance. She was... DeJesus was under the impression that Castro was picking her up to drop her off at home. And she trusted Castro because he was the dad of her friend.
Mm.
No one witnessed her abduction, and an Amber Alert was not issued, which angered her father. So he was reported in 2006 of saying, an Amber Alert should work for a missing child. Whether it's abduction or a runaway, a child needs to be found. This law needs to change now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah.
So a year after DeJesus's disappearance, the FBI released a composite sketch and a description of a male described as Latino, 25 to 35, 5'10", 165 to 185 pounds, with green eyes, a goatee, and possibly a pencil-thin beard. According to court records, Castro was 5'7", 179 pounds, had brown eyes, and a goatee. DeJesus was also featured on the America's Most Wanted segment with Berry. So there was the two girls because they knew each other, basically. The disappearances received regular media attention all the way up to 2012, while the families held public vigils. So they were trying to get the word out still. They were trying to still figure out what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Castro attended 2 of these vigils and reportedly participated in a search party and tried to get close with the DeJesus family.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Castro's son Anthony was a journalism student in 2005, and he interviewed DeJesus's mother for an article about the disappearances for a local newspaper. Police kept the investigation open and offered $25,000 reward for any information. According to Castro's uncle, his family knew the DeJesus family and they lived in the same neighborhood. Castro falsely claimed that he was not aware that DeJesus was a member of the family when he abducted her, which is bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is.
She was friends with his daughter. He knows this.
He took that as an advantage. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the part where it starts to get pretty wild. We're going to talk about what happened while they were in captivity.
Okay.
So, upon being kidnapped, Castro took Michelle Knight to the upper floor of his house. He tied her hands and feet together and pulled her up using her hands, feet, and neck. She was left there for 3 days without food. Prosecutors at Castro's sentencing read diaries kept by his victims. In these diaries, they spoke about forced sexual contact, being locked in a dark room, anticipating the next session of abuse, dreams of someday escaping and being reunited with their families, being chained to a wall, being held like a prisoner of war, missing the lives that they once enjoyed, emotional abuse, and Castro's threats to kill them, being treated like an animal, continuous abuse, and desiring freedom. These women were kept in locked bedrooms. So they were all upstairs and they were locked in bedrooms. They were each forced to use plastic toilets, which were emptied very infrequently. They were fed 1 meal a day, and at the most, they were allowed to shower twice a week. So Knight told police that Castro had impregnated her at least 5 times and had induced miscarriages each times through beating her.
No.
He would hit her with dumbbells,
Oh my God.
punch her, and slam her against walls. He would also even starve her. Knight's grandmother told reporters that she would require facial reconstruction surgery due to the beatings that she had endured. She had even lost hearing in one of her ears.
Oh my God.
Mm-mm.
This is this part's real tough as well. At one point, Knight had a pet dog while she was there. Castro ended up killing the dog by snapping its neck because it bit him trying to protect her. Y'all, I hate this. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
DeJesus told law enforcement that she was raped and did not believe that she was ever actually impregnated. So that's the 14-year-old girl.
Mm-hmm.
On Christmas Day of 2006, Castro allegedly ordered Knight to assist in the birth of Berry's child, which took place in a small inflatable swimming pool in the living room. He threatened the girl that if the baby did not survive, then neither would she.
Oh my God.
At one point, the baby was born and it did stop breathing, but Knight was able to resuscitate her.
Oh, God.
God.
Castro occasionally took Berry's daughter out of the house, including to visit his mother. She called him Daddy, and the baby called Castro's mother grandma. In 2013, he showed one of his adult daughters a picture of the child and said that it was his girlfriend's daughter from a previous relationship. And he claimed her as his granddaughter, basically. Berry taught her daughter how to read and write. So this child was in captivity with them. So they were teaching her how to read and write. According to a statement from the CDP, officers visited Castro's home only once following the kidnappings to discuss an unrelated incident. Oh my God. Castro did not appear to be home at the time, and was later interviewed elsewhere. So the police showed up at his house, and because it looked like he wasn't there, they didn't check on anything. Neighbors said that they had called the police about suspicious activity observed at the home, but police claimed that there was no record of any such calls.
Of course there wasn't.
Uh-huh. Castro's son Anthony reported there were certain areas in the house that were locked and inaccessible. So he would still have people over at his house, but there were certain areas that you just couldn't go behind. He also mentioned an occasion 3 weeks before the women's escape when Castro asked if Berry had ever been found. So he's trying to keep the story going, basically.
Yeah.
Anthony said that he told Castro that Berry was most likely dead, and Castro responded, "Really? You think so?" And NBC affiliate WKYC reported that Castro recalled each of the 3 abductions in great detail during his interrogation, and indicated that there were some planning, that they were indicated that they were unplanned crimes of opportunity. So there was no, he wasn't picking these girls out. It was just right place, right time.
Yeah.
He referred to himself as cold-blooded and a sex addict. Police found a suicide note in his house in which he discussed the abductions and wrote that his money and possessions should be given to the kidnapped women if he is caught. Okay.
So he has feelings for them now, or
yeah.
What?
So you'll there's more later, but I think he started to it started to get to him, the guilt started to get to him, and he just really didn't know what to do at that point.
Yeah.
So
too far gone.
It's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah.
All right. So on the morning of May 6th of 2013, Berry was finally able to make contact with Castro's neighbor, leading her to escape with her 6-year-old daughter. She and DeJesus were, Berry, DeJesus, and Knight were rescued by authorities. According to police, Castro had left the house that day, and Berry realized that he had failed to lock the big inside door, although the exterior storm door was still locked. It was still bolted. So she didn't make an attempt to break through the door because she thought that Castro was testing her. And apparently he had tried to test them before. He tested the women by leaving the house partially unlocked and the exits unsecured. If they did attempt to escape, he would beat them. Instead, Berry screamed for help until she saw a neighbor through the screen. The neighbor was Angel Cordero. He responded to the screaming, but he was unable to communicate with Berry because he spoke very little English. So there was another neighbor, Charles Ramsey, who joined Cordero at the door and was trying to translate, basically trying to get what's going on.
Yeah.
So they kicked a hole through the bottom of the storm door, and Berry crawled through with her daughter. Ramsey said that Berry told him that her and her child were being kept in this house against their will. Upon being freed, she went to the next door neighbor's house and called 911. When she called, she said, "Help, I've been kidnapped and I've been missing for 10 years and I'm here, I'm free now." So,
Wow.
Could you imagine the relief?
Yeah.
And also the fear of can you please hurry up and find him so that I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I hate this so much.
Responding police officers, there were 3 of them that entered the house. They entered the house and went upstairs through the hallway with their guns drawn, announcing that they were CPD. After peeking out from the slightly open bedroom door, Knight entered the hallway and leaped into the officer's arms, repeatedly saying, "You saved me." Soon afterward, DeJesus entered the hallway from another room. Knight and DeJesus walked out of the house, all 3 women, including the child, and they were taken to Metro Health Medical Center. Berry and DeJesus were released from the hospital that next day, and Knight was discharged 4 days later on May 10th. I gotta breathe for a second. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is the arrest and the legal proceedings of Castro. So, Castro was arrested in a McDonald's parking lot shortly after the victims had been rescued. He was charged with 4 counts of kidnapping, 3 counts of rape on May 8th, which carry prison sentences of 10 years to life in Ohio. 2 of Castro's brothers, Pedro and O'Neill, were initially taken into custody, but were released on May 9th after police announced that they had no involvement in the kidnappings. The charges against the 2 brothers were dropped. So apparently they thought it was like a family thing, like it was all of them doing it all together. But they quickly found out that it was not them. So Castro made his first court appearance in the Cleveland Municipal Court on May 9th, where bail was set for $2 million per kidnapping charge, adding up to a total of $8 million for his bail.
Good.
Prosecutors intended to seek the death penalty against Castro. Additional charges were reported to be pending, including aggravated murder for all of the miscarriages that he induced, attempted murder, assault, and charge for each instance of rape, kidnapping, and a charge of holding someone captive, basically. So on May 14th, Castro's attorney said that he would plead not guilty to all of the charges if indicted for kidnapping and rape. So he's like, if you tell me all these other charges are gone, I'm going to plead guilty to these and I'll just take my lashings that way. So the county grand jury returned a true bill of indictment against Castro on June 7th. So they said, no, fuck that. You're going to court.
Good.
The indictment contained 329 counts, including 2 counts of aggravated murder for his role in the termination of the women's pregnancies. The indictments covered only the period of August 2002 to February of 2007. The county prosecutor, Timothy McGinty, stated that the investigations were ongoing and that any further findings would be presented to the grand jury. So that wasn't all of the charges. They were still figuring stuff out that he did, and they were adding more on there.
Yeah.
So McGinty said that pursuing a death penalty specification would be considered following the completion of the indictment proceedings. After entering a not guilty plea for Castro on June 12th, one of his attorneys said that although some of the charges against Castro were indisputable, it is our hope that we can continue to work towards a resolution to avoid having an unnecessary trial about aggravated murder and the death penalty.
Wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
An unnecessary trial.
Yes. So people thought that they were just like adding these things on to like make him look like worse than he was. That's not the case at all.
Mm-mm.
This was really fucked up.
Yeah, the only reason that I would say, yeah, that's not needed is because those 3 women are going to have to sit there and listen to everything that they did to them again.
Exactly.
That's the only reason that I would be like, no, we don't need to add that. But just because you find it unnecessary.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So Castro was found competent to stand trial on July 3rd. On July 12th, the county grand jury returned a true bill of indictment for the remainder of the period after 2007 in February. So basically, they were like, no, he had them for like 10 years, basically. So there's no way we're just charging him for this little period of time. They were adding on and they just kept going.
Yeah.
It brought the total to 977 counts, 512 counts of kidnapping, 446 counts of rape, 7 counts of gross sexual imposition, 6 of felonious assault, and 3 of child endangerment, 2 of aggravated murder, and 1 of possession of criminal tools. So there's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
On July 17th, Castro pled not guilty to the expanded indictment. He faced the death penalty by lethal injection if convicted of all these charges. Castro pled guilty on July 26th to 937 of the 977 charges against him, including charges of kidnapping, rape, aggravated murder, and that was part of his plea bargain. So the plea bargain called for consecutive sentences of his life plus 1,000 years without the possibility of parole. So if he pled guilty, they weren't going to kill him, but he had 3 life sentences and 1,000 years on top of it. So we're not going to kill you, but you're here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Under the plea deal, in any way due to the crimes. So in the plea deal, they told him they were like, you can't make any money off of this, basically, which is great. And I'd never heard of that happening before. He also forfeited his assets, including his Seymour Avenue house, which prosecutors said would be demolished. So basically, they were like, there's no one's going to buy this house anymore, so we're just going to tear it down.
Good.
Castro was told by Judge Michael Russo, "You will not be getting out. Is that clear?" Into which Castro responded, "I do understand that, Your Honor." Castro made comments about his addiction to pornography and his sexual problem, but was cut off by Judge Russo, who said such issues would be discussed on the August 1st sentencing hearing. So he was like, nah, dude, I'm not fucking hearing it. You'll have your time. So a law firm that was representing all 3 of the girls released a statement that the 3 women were relieved by today's plea. They are satisfied by this resolution to this case, and they are looking forward to not having these legal proceedings draw out and finally being able to come to a close in the near future. At the sentencing hearing on August 1st, Castro was sentenced to consecutive life terms in prison plus 1,000 years, all without any possibility of parole. He was also fined $100,000. The court forfeited all of his property and assets to the county government. Before his sentencing, Castro addressed the court for nearly 20 minutes, in which he said he was a good person and not a monster. But he was addicted to sex and pornography and had was practiced in the art of masturbation since he was a young boy.
Okay.
He claimed that he had never beaten or tortured the women and insisted that most of the sex was consensual. He shifted between apologizing and blaming the FBI for failing to catch him, as well as blaming the victims themselves for getting in the car with a stranger. Also, with insisting that he was mad that they weren't virgins, basically, is what he was saying in this rant, this 20-minute rant that he went on for the court. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He would alternatively shift back to being apologetic comments saying, I hope they can find in their hearts to forgive me because we had a lot of harmony going on in that home.
When?
Right.
Wow.
Jesus. So the sentencing judge also heard from Knight and the family members of Berry and DeJesus. Knight told Castro, "You took 11 years of my life away. I spent 11 years in hell. Now your hell is just beginning. I will overcome all that has happened, but you will face hell for eternity. I will live on. You will die a little every day as you have to think about the 11 years of atrocities that you inflicted on us. I can forgive you, but I will not forget."
Good.
Jesus.
What a badass.
Wow. Yeah, that's a strong woman.
Yeah. Okay. So, Knight, Berry, and DeJesus were released a video statement on July 9th of 2013, thanking the public for their support. An attorney for Berry and DeJesus said that the women still have a strong desire for privacy, and they did not wish to speak to the media. So Knight is the only one that's actually talking. The other ones are being talked for, which is completely fucking valid. The Cleveland Courage Fund is a bank account that was set up to help the women transition back into their independent lives. And collectively, there was $1.5 million donated at the time of that video. Before Berry's disappearance, her grandfather had promised her a classic Chevrolet Monte Carlo, built in the year that she was born. He kept the car after her kidnapping just in case she was found alive. He still had it whenever she was released, although it was in need of restoration from just sitting there for years. Several automotive shops in the area offered to perform the restoration for free. Knight discussed some of her ordeals in an interview with People magazine, and she talked about her life leading up to the abduction, basically. Since her rescue, she legally changed her name and began to get several tattoos, and this is the way that she's coping and starting her healing process. She also revealed that her son was adopted by his foster parents while she was in captivity, and that she wanted to see him, but she does not want to bring him into the ordeal in which she had to deal with, and planned to see him after he became an adult. I think that's a very smart decision, as hard as that must be.
Yeah.
She planned to open a restaurant and dreamed of getting married, which she did in 2016, and hopes to adopt children. And as her years of abuse and torture had made it unlikely that she was ever going to be able to give birth again. She also planned to reunite with Berry and DeJesus in the future, but began focusing on her life and trying to get it back on track.
Mm-hmm.
Berry and DeJesus received honorary diplomas from the John Marshall High School in 2015. So one of them was 17 and one of them was 14. So they had both not finished high school. In an interview with the local news station, DeJesus says that she was volunteering for an Amber Alert committee, offering comfort to the families of abducted children.
Wow.
She remains in touch with Berry and her family. In 2017, Berry joined the staff of the Fox affiliate local news station in Cleveland, where she hosts short reoccurring segments in which she reports missing person cases in order to help the families be reunited with the missing people.
Great.
Which is dope. Like, they're able to take their trauma and turn it into something good for other people.
That's amazing.
Which is huge.
Yeah.
And hard and great. Yeah.
Castro was found hanging from a bedsheet in the detention center cell at the correctional center in Ohio on September 3rd of 2013, 1 month after his life sentence. He was 53 years old at the time of his death, and prison staff performed CPR on him, and he was taken to the local medical center, where he was pronounced dead shortly after. The following day, Franklin County coroner announced that a preliminary autopsy found that Castro's death was suicide by hanging, and he was later cremated. On October 10th of 2013, the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Correction released a report which suggested that Castro may have had died in. Oh my God, y'all! Sorry, he may have died accidentally from autoerotic asphyxiation rather than suicide.
Oh my God!
Oh my God!
The person who did the first autopsy was like, no, she said that's not a possibility, and she stands on her ruling of it being suicide.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The report also said that 2 prison guards had falsified logs documenting the observation of Castro hours before he was found dead. He was not on suicide watch at the time of his death, but he had been subjected to routine checks every 30 minutes due to his notoriety. A consultant report was released on December 3rd and officially concluded all available evidence pointed to suicide, including a shrine-like arrangement of family pictures and a Bible in Castro's cell. An increasing tone of frustration in his prison journal, and for the reality of spending the rest of his life in prison, subject to constant harassment. So that's Ariel Castro. And I am so sorry.
Man, I know that story now.
That pisses me off. I'm like,
I've heard this story before. Exactly. I was so mad when I was writing this. I was so mad.
And also, could you imagine being the person that had to read their journals?
Oh my God, I wouldn't.
Could you imagine? It'd be horrific. Especially if you had kids and you had to read that.
Yes.
Again, another reason why do not ask me to be a detective or a cop. Like, I will not. I cannot.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
And he doesn't deserve to die. He should have.
He should have had to suffer.
I hate
rotted
that.
in jail. Exactly.
Yeah, I hate that when they do that.
Yeah, 3 life sentences plus 1,000 years. No one was giving this man any leniency. ever
Mm-mm.
anymore.
No.
And
which he didn't deserve.
And the fact that he was upset about getting harassed for the rest of his life. Oh, what do you think those girls felt like? Like, what? And that's just harassment. Like, harassment and actual abuse are two different things.
Yeah.
Oh.
So like they said, they found a suicide note in his house. So at some point he had already thought about it. He was already going to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was just, he has to get through these legal proceedings. But it was weird because he didn't want the death penalty.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah.
So I don't know if it was just like people talking in his ear or if he was just flip-flopping and couldn't really. But the thing that really fucked me up was that he was blaming it on him being a sexual deviant, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, what?
The psychology that goes into this, it can't just be like whittled down to one thing. Like this man had a lot of different issues going on.
Yeah.
And apparently someone at some point had told him that it was because he was a sex addict, and now that's just what he ran.
Just what he believes, yeah.
Yeah. Which is bullshit. But, Yeah.
Oh, I hated that story so much.
I know.
No bueno. You did a good job telling it, but...
Thank you. I only cried twice.
I mean, you had me going, especially with the... fucking
I was clenching. And swallowing. I was like,
he induced.
As soon as I started writing the script, I was like, okay, like you have to find a different story. And then I was like, no, this one's fine. You'll be okay. You'll be okay.
Well, and were they in the same? Maybe I heard this wrong. They were in the same neighborhood as one of their parents.
Their family, yes.
Like.
DeJesus's family lived in the same neighborhood.
So she was literally down the street from them the whole time.
Could you imagine being her family and realizing that and just how I can't imagine how you would feel.
Also, like, she thought that she was just getting a ride home from school.
Yes.
And she trusted this man. Because she was friends with his daughter.
14.
Yes.
Imagine being 14 to 24. Like, that's your, like, prime developmental ages. Like,
11 years.
You can't.
And imagine how much the world changed in that time.
Exactly.
Too.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to get out and everything's going to be completely different.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a shock in itself.
Yeah. And like I said, when Deshay was talking about the kidnappings, like, we don't realize, but this shit happens all the time. All the time. I had to search multiple different things to be able to find the correct kidnapping case that I was looking for. So it happens all the time. And we don't know. No one knows.
Yeah, I know. And it's horrific.
Oh my God. I can only imagine. Apparently, I'm not sure if it's from this case in particular, but there was a girl that was kidnapped for a very long time, and she wrote a book about her experience. I don't know if I could read that.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
It'd be real tough.
Yeah. Kidnappings hit different.
Yes.
Yeah.
For me. I don't know why, but I'm like, I think it's maybe like the torture of it and the like consistent fight or flight that you're in, and like
and the fact that he said that they had a harmonious home is he's delusional. He's seriously
literally one, they were pretending to not get abused.
Yes.
Two, the girls probably, I don't know if they ever actually saw each other because they were locked in their rooms, but the girls probably
talked,
got along because they had to. And
I couldn't
and how are you going to threaten somebody that's a literal child?
Yes.
If you don't help her give birth and my baby dies, I'm going to kill you.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I would be like, I don't even know what giving birth is like, let alone having to help somebody else.
Yeah.
And then at that point, she's going to think if the baby did die, she would think it was her fault when it wasn't, you know?
Right.
I just hate everything about this so much.
And then the child that was born, could you fucking imagine? 6 years, her first 6 years of her life were in captivity.
No.
It's fucking crazy to me.
Well, and I'm like, too, you lived in this house with your mom right there and your dad all the time. And then all of a sudden, I mean, like, she didn't know. Like, your dad's taken away from you. You've got this whole new life. Like, it, again, at that age, that's like prime developmental age. Like, that's going to mess you up.
It was normal for her.
It was normal for her. And then she had to learn how to live again. So I can only imagine. I wanted to be as respectful as possible to everybody in this story because they are still around and they're still dealing with everything and they're living their lives and just trying to do the best. So I didn't want to put any names of children or anything like that. If you want to look that up, you can. I didn't find it necessary.
Yeah. And the grandma. Sorry, I'm just getting on everything. I'm so pissed.
You know,
his mom that the little girl was getting to go to her house. You know, how does she deal with that? Because she's like, that's my granddaughter. And
yes,
I mean, like, does she ever get to see her again? Like,
right.
If I was the mom, I would not be comfortable with that. But then I'm like, it's not the grandma's fault. And the grandma has oh God, I hate all of it.
Yeah. And the really, really fucked up thing, you already said it, basically they were all in the same neighborhood.
Yeah.
So any of them could have gotten out and gotten to their family at any time, but he would also set booby traps for them. And like, I don't know. I hate it. It was horrible.
I can't. Yeah. Well,
happy Monday, everybody.
I'm very sorry.
Yeah.
Lord.
Okay.
Does anybody have any fun facts or anything like
exactly
we can
yeah.
I'm like,
tell me a joke, something.
I can't think of anything.
Oh, did y'all see? Okay, this is totally not what we were talking about. Did y'all see on TikTok? Did I send it to you? No, maybe not. The cat that plays what is it called? He plays a game with his person. It's called
Cards Against Humanity? Yes, I love that cat.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I just saw that for the first time the other day.
It's so funny.
Speaking of Cards Against Humanity, my mentor got an extension pack, and it's called the Everything Pack. We play it at the shop. There is one card in there that legitimately made me gag. It was the grossest thing I have ever heard in my entire life. I don't know if I should repeat it. Maybe I'll tell you guys later, but it was...
Yeah.
And Rainey... she told somebody that it made me gag, and they were like, well, now I have to hear what it is. And she pulled it out and read it again. I was like, I need to leave. I cannot do this.
Oh, you're giving me the heebie-jeebies. I don't even know what it says.
It's the grossest thing I've ever heard. So, okay, I'm just going to say it. Basically, what it said was sucking period blood clots through a straw.
Oh my God. That is disgusting.
No.
Can you see why I gagged?
Gosh.
She read it, and I was laughing and gagging and all trying not to throw up all at the same time. It was hilarious and disgusting all at the same time.
But also, now I'm going to have that, like,
the visual
seared into my... If I dream about that tonight, I'm going to hit you.
Listen, that's gross.
My favorite card was Smelly Werewolf Boys, and I was like, I feel that card. Like, I feel it.
Yeah.
I get it.
You were
and
like,
so now
seamsies.
yeah, I want it tattooed on me, like a Cards Against Humanity card that says that.
That's
speaking
funny.
of dreams, I was telling Richard, I watched too many true crime documentaries and also supernatural shows. Not like actual supernatural, but like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I had a dream that me and both my boys were zombies. And we were at the house, like my whole entire family. And by like whole entire family, I mean like me, my husband, and my kids. We were at home and we had these 3 friends come over. Well, me and the boys got really hungry. And so we killed these 3 people. And then I woke up in the middle of the night terrified because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose my kids because we just killed somebody.
Oh my God,
not like, oh no, I killed somebody.
Yeah.
Or like whatever. I was like, oh my, I'm going to lose my kids.
Right.
Anyway, so I had to like convince myself that it was just a dream. And then I had like I fell back asleep. And I guess in my dream, I like rewound it and was just like, I told them, no, we're not going to do that. I made the people leave. And then we went to go eat like bunnies or something.
Oh my
I was
God.
like, oh my gosh. It was like the weirdest. I don't know.
It's like when you have a
It was like a
dream that
mix
you're-
between iZombie and like Twilight and
Yeah.
like my real life. Like I was like, what is happening right now?
It's like when you have a dream that your partner cheated on you and the next day you're mad at them.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Sometimes dreams are just too real.
Yes. I hate it.
I don't remember my dreams. Someone told me a long time ago that everybody dreams. Sometimes you remember them and sometimes you don't. So I don't really remember mine very much anymore. But for some reason, the past like month or so, I've been having dreams about like tattoos and then I'll go and like draw them. So I'm like, am I like a prodigal son or something? Like what's happening right now?
Yes. Yes, you are.
Yes.
The tattoo prodigal son.
I have no idea what's happening, but then I'll draw it and my coworkers are like, dude, that's fucking crazy. Or like, that's really weird. And I'm like, sorry, welcome to my brain.
I don't know what you want from me. The tattoo spirits are like, this is what you need. This is what
exactly.
putting it in your brain. Yeah.
Yeah. The one that I posted, the cowboy that I posted recently, like a couple days ago, that one was a dream.
That's crazy.
I'm going to pull it up so that, because we have YouTube now, so I'm sure you guys can see it. But
we have the tubes.
Yeah. I had a dream about this face. Yeah. It's so weird.
I would be very scared.
Yeah. And then that's a quote from one of my favorite movies called Party Monster. And so I was the person who says it has an accent. How do you like my UFO? And I could not stop saying that for like a week. And I'm sure the other artists were like, Sage, shut the fuck up. I couldn't stop saying it. I thought it was hilarious.
I love that. Oh, speaking of UFOs, we watched Nope too.
Oh, I love that movie.
It was a fun movie. It's not what I expected it to be, but it was a fun movie.
Oh, yeah.
I love alien movies.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite.
No, I want to go back and watch like the actual like alien movies. Because I remember that I saw them when I was a kid, but I don't remember like the story or anything like that. So I want to go back and watch all of them.
I love The Fourth Kind. It's probably my favorite alien movie.
Yeah.
And I know Signs.
Oh God.
That was such a good movie. I don't care what anybody says.
Were you with us when we went and saw that?
And so was The Village.
Oh, so, I love The Village.
That is such a good movie.
That's a good one.
I don't know why people hate them, but
was Storm with us when we went to go see Signs the first time to Shay?
No.
In Arkansas?
No, she was probably too young.
Because we went with our cousin when we were visiting Nana. And Nana lived out in the middle of nowhere in the woods, and I couldn't sleep for like 2 days.
Terrifying.
Speaking of, there's this one thing I remember. It was, so we all have like cousins that are about the same age as us. And I remember I was like, me and my age cousin were sleeping in the bed, and then Sage and his age cousin were sleeping in the bed, and I woke up freezing, and I look over, and he's wrapped around in the blanket, like complete, like a burrito. Right. And I'm like, God, I'm cold. So I get up to go like find a blanket.
Mhm.
And I peek in the room, and Sage is like straight like this, like trying to warm his body. And then she is literally wrapped up in the blanket. I was like, what is it with you two? Like a burrito wrapped up in a blanket. And I was like, okay, well, we're just going to freeze to death while you guys are all nice and burritoed. It was so funny.
So speaking of sleeping and that cousin in particular, I was at their house and I was hanging out with the older brother, and
Mhm.
it was the middle of the night and it got really quiet, and then I hear someone walking around and I'm like, you need to wake up. Like, we need to go check this out. What is this? And I'm like 8 at the time. So I'm like breaking out. Apparently, no one told me that she sleepwalks. And
Ugh.
she has a sleepwalking routine. Do you remember this? She would walk
I
into
don't
his
remember this.
bathroom, open his cabinet, take out his cotton balls, put them on the counter, close the cabinet back, and go back to bed.
Mm-mm.
Anytime that she would do it. And they didn't tell me that. So I was freaking out, and I had never seen anyone sleepwalk. I had no idea what sleepwalking was. I thought she was fucking possessed or something. Like, I had no idea. It was ridiculous.
Well, then it sucks too, because it's like, of course, those are always the times where you have to pee really bad.
Yes.
And then you're too afraid to like get up and go pee.
Also,
So
they
you're
lived
like,
out
I'm stuck here.
on a farm in the middle of the boonies, so
Yeah.
like, it was terrifying. Terrifying. And people wonder why we're so weird.
Yeah. Grew up that way, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
It's because we had to freeze to death while they were all wrapped up.
Oh my god.
Our cousins would take our blankets. Oh my god.
So rude.
That's why we're so messed up, because our cousins would take our blankets
Yep.
when we would sleep.
Holy shit.
Oh,
man.
All right. Well, I am again, I'm very sorry to everyone. I just wanted to tell this story because when Deshay mentioned it last time, it kind of popped into my head that this is happening a lot, and a lot of people don't realize that it's still happening.
yeah.
These are from like, I think they got out in like 2013-ish, so it's relatively new.
Yeah.
But Storm, where can they find us if they want to hear some more?
We are on Facebook, Three Siblings Walk Into a Bar. We are on Instagram at 3Swib Podcast. Please go on there, like, comment, do all the things. YouTube, we're on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Go watch us on there. Also, like, comment, do all the things. And please rate and review. It's super, super helpful for us.
Yes. And if you guys have any stories that you want to hear, please let us know.
Yes. I mean, I literally will sit there for like an hour and a half just trying to figure out what story to do. So
every
let me know
time,
if you have
every
one.
single
If
time.
y'all see our text chains, we're like, have we done this story yet? Have y'all done this?
Yeah.
Have we done this one? It's ridiculous. All right. Well, that's what happens when three siblings walk into a bar.